Good evening, Dharma friends. We have a handful of people here in person, as well as a good 15 or 20 online on Zoom. Welcome to a new term, indeed a new year, of Rongton Buddhist Training College Tuesday evening philosophy classes. This term, Lama Choedak Rinpoche will be teaching on the 37 factors of enlightenment. So in case there's anyone new online, I'll introduce our teacher. Lama Choedak Rinpoche was born into a nomadic family in Tibet and went on to train as a monk under some of the most eminent Tibetan masters of the previous generation in the Tibetan settlements of India and Nepal. He completed a 3.5-year solitary meditation retreat, which earned him the title of Lama, or spiritual teacher. He later earned the title Rinpoche, or High Lama, in recognition of his translation skills into English and his expertise in transmitting traditional teachings to contemporary audiences, as we'll be doing in this very course. And before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge our sponsors, committee and technical team who all work very hard to make these teachings available for us. So on that note, I'll leave you with Rinpoche, who will explain or begin by explaining the prayers that we do at the beginning. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamila, and good evening, and good now, and good morning, and whatever is good to you is now. As we have the benefit of people zooming in from different parts of the country and also for the world. The time zone might be very different, but we are all here together now. So, as Jamila mentioned, this is a beginning of not only a new term, but also a new year. So we have good reason to be resolved, to listen and to hear, and to resolve to change some things with the benefit of these pointings, the teachings is going to no doubt show. So we're going to do the normal prayer of a refuge and for immeasurable first, and then we will do the Heart Sutra. Some of you may have the Heart Sutra in your possession. Those of you who are here in that folder, you have on page 11. So the refuge prayer is on page 3, which we will do together, as well as the so we do all these things in English because I'm the only one who speaks Tibetan, so better that I honor the democracy, majority. So join your hands at the heart and please think of many places and people for whose sake you could be including them in your prayer and thoughts. Many of their situations are very dire, very unsettling, very almost like life and death situations. And so spare even the moments and thoughts for those. May these teachings and messages have a ripple effect to benefit all sentient beings. In the name of the Triple Gem, we will therefore do these practices. Oyeda Buddha Dhamma Sanga Aitere Pyeje Enlightenment by virtue Ajevendala Aishare Buddha Vajrabe Eda Buddha Dhamma Sanga Aitere Pyeje Enlightenment by virtue Ajevendala Aishare Buddha Vajrabe Eda Buddha Dhamma Sanga Aitere Pyeje Enlightenment by virtue Ajevendala Aishare Buddha Vajrabe. May all beings have happiness and a cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a power of happiness that knows no suffering. May they be free from attachment, aversion, those near and far. May all beings have happiness and a cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know a power of happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, those near and far. May all beings have happiness, and the cause of happiness may they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering may they never from the happiness that no suffering may they dwell equanimity, free from attachment and aversion to those near and far. Now on page 9, according to the intelligence and bridges, positive and common ego. Now we're going to do the Heart Sutra on page 11. Some of you may not know this Heart Sutra. Traditionally, in most Tibetan Buddhist teachers, they always do the Heart Sutra chanting before any teaching. So, which we also do occasionally. So we're going to do that here on this evening and thereafter. So, your page 11. The perfection of wisdom is beyond thought and expression. Being unborn and unceasing is nature's sky. I pay homage to the domain of discriminative awareness, mother of victors of 3 times. Thus I have heard at one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajgir on Rosh's peak, together with the great assembly of Sanga, great assembly of Bodhisattvas. At that time, the Blessed One was absorbed in Samadhi on the enumeration of phenomena called profound illumination. Also at that time, Bodhisattva Bodhisattva Mahasattva Superior Avalokitesha was contemplating on the meaning of the profound perfection of wisdom, he saw that the five aggregates also empty of inherent existence. Then, through the power of the Buddha, the Venerable Shariputra said to the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Superior Avalokitesha, how should son or daughter of good lineage train who wishes to practice profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke. The Bodhisattva, the Mahasattva Superior Avalokitesha, said this to the Venerable Shariputra. Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of good lineage wishes to practice profound perfection of wisdom should view in this way. They should correctly view those five aggregates also empty of inherent existence. Form is emptiness, emptiness form. Empty is not other than form. Form is not other than emptiness. In the same way, feeling, discrimination, composition, factors, consciousness are empty. Shariputra, in the same way, all phenomena are merely empty. They are without characteristic. They are not created. They do not cease. They have no impurity. They are not devoid of impurity. They do not decrease, increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composite factors, no consciousness, no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no soul, no sound, no smell, no taste, no touch, and no phenomenon. There is no eye element, so forth, up to mind element, and up to element of mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance, so forth. There is no aging and death, no exhaustion of aging and death. In the same way, there is no suffering, no origin, no cessation, no power, no exalted wisdom, no attainment, no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because Bodhisattva have no attainment, they depend on and abide in perfection of wisdom. Because their mind is without obstruction, they are without fear. Having completely passed beyond all error, they go to the completion nirvana. The Buddhas who abide in the three times, having relied upon the perfection of wisdom, became manifestly perfect Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete enlightenment. Therefore, Shariputra in the perfection of wisdom is mantra of great knowledge, unsurpassed mantra, unequal mantra, equal. Mantra that thoroughly pacifies all sufferings, because it is not false, it should be known as truth. The mantra of perfection of wisdom is good. Tadyada gade bara zanga de bodhisattva. 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 Tadyada gade barang parazanga de bodhisattva dadyadanga de barang parazanga de bodhisattva dadyadanga de baranga de barazanga 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 de bodhisattva dadyadanga de barazanga de bodhisattva dadyadanga de barang parazanga de bodhisattva. Shariputra Bodhisattva Mahasattva should train in the profound perfection in that way. Then the Blessed One arose from the Samadhi and said, Bodhisattva Mahasa, Superior Avalokitesha, well done, well done, well. One of good lineage is just so, one of good lineage is like that. The profound perfection should be practiced just as you have taught it. Even the Tathagata will rejoice in this. Blessed One, having so spoken, Venerable Shariputra, Bodhisattva Mahasa, Superior Avalokitesha, and all that are gathered there, and those gods, humans, gods, Gandharvas, were filled with admiration and praised the words of the Blessed One. So, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining me and Tibetan Buddhist Society of Canberra and everyone that you have here. Very good that you are able to decide your mind to spend time to listen to the teachings of the Buddha. I'm sure there are very many glittering things that people can pay their attention to, go to, listen to, so on. But then, of course, this is not one thing to entice your five senses. This is not to gladden your five senses. This is to wake up our sixth sense, mental consciousness. Teachings of the Buddha is to wake us up from the slumber of ignorance and confusion and afflictions by which we are all creating our own sufferings. And so, therefore, every time you listen to the Dharma, you're listening to the truth that you have to learn to believe and then turn toward light. And the truth is very, very bitter. It's not always easy to accept and taste good, but it's exactly what we need to hear. So therefore, this topic is the 37 factors of path to enlightenment, which is a very comprehensive topic that is taught and covered in all Buddhist tradition. This is nothing to do with uniquely to the Tibetan or Vajrayana Buddhism, or that is not heard among the Theravadins. It's not like that. 37 factors of enlightenment are themselves the complete practice in itself. So I had taught this topic years ago at our retreat center, and it even have been transcribed and is a near-ready publication for a book. But it hasn't been published yet. But I have always looked into that possibility of doing it. And then only a couple of months ago, last month in fact, 2 months ago, I was in India at a big international Sangha conference. And there I was given the opportunity to present a talk with 2,000 senior monastics from all over the world. And I was asked to talk on this, strangely, and then I did that. But that was done in 15 minutes. 15 minutes on the whole topic. But today I have this opportunity to elaborate that on 8 sessions. So, which means I'm going to go largely over the book that I have written, because it has been done so much work, and when I looked at it, and it really deserved to be appreciated even before the publication, to be mainly used for this course. So the 37 factors of enlightenment comprise 7 groups. There are 7 groups, and each of the 7 groups have very special significance, that from a person, the total beginners to the fully enlightened one, each of these 7 groups has great significance. The first group is called 4 Foundation of Mindfulness, and that some of you who have done calm abiding meditation course, that's exactly what we cover. But even those what we cover on this 8-week calm abiding, we don't really go into the details of the teachings, intended meaning or foundation of mindfulness, body and feeling, as much as the text does. So this being, we are going to go over that. So that's the foundation of mindfulness of the body, foundation of mindfulness of feeling, foundation of mindfulness of mind, and the foundation of mindfulness of phenomena or object. These are 4 foundation mindfulness. This is called path that examines all phenomena, because there isn't anything that are excluded from these 4: mind, feelings, thoughts, and objects. All object could be from any animate to inanimate, from psychology to rocket science. Everything is covered in the subjects, and so the body and the mind and the feelings and the thoughts, objects are the subject that's covered. It's called examining the phenomena. One might see our body as a compound of many biological properties or atomic particles. Generally, we do not see that it's body of the body. We see the body as if it is a monolithic entity or something, as innately or independently existing. We're not really mindful. The body is not a truly independently, unitarily, permanently existing thing. So we are not mindful. We think body is me, and color is me, or height is me. We become so mindlessly attached to it, and adopt and hold onto it as if it is something else. So we don't have the mindfulness of the body at all. So we'll come to those talking about those four a little bit what you call more specific later on. But here I will give you the rest of the other 37 factors, because this is our first session. What are all the other 37 factors? And I would like to quote in one of the Mahaparinirvana Sutra, which is a very original discourse on the Buddha's passing away. There the Buddha has spoken, "Monks, I say to you that these teachings of which I have direct knowledge and which I have made known to you, these you should thoroughly learn, cultivate, develop, and frequently practice, so that life of purity may be established and may long endure for the welfare and happiness of multitude, out of compassion for the world, for the benefit, well-being, and happiness of gods and humans." And what, bhikshus, are these teachings? They are the four foundations of mindfulness, four right efforts, four constituents of psychic power, five faculties, five powers, seven factors of enlightenment, and eightfold noble path. So that lists all the seven groups I mentioned. So first one is called path that examines the complete phenomena, constitute those four foundation mindfulness which I mentioned. Second second group is called the having realized the nature of body, mind, and feelings and phenomena. Then one practice the four right efforts. So the second group is four right effort, or sometimes called for renunciation, because when you put the right effort, you renounce the bad, you don't pick up any new bad, and and then you also renounce what you haven't been doing good, and instead of sitting them idle, you try to promote them. And also we put right effort to do new good deeds. So this is the second group is called four right efforts. Because if you have realization of four foundation mindfulness, then it really gives you the kind of right effort that we previously have put our energy into some other activities. We are hardly doing much at all to the spiritual training at all. Because all our efforts are put in doing other things. But once you become mindful of the body, feeling, thoughts, and phenomena, you will then start putting those four right effort. Four right effort. That's the second group. The third group is called four legs of miracles. 4 legs of miracles, because having purified the obscuration by the 4 right effort, because 4 right effort purifies the obscurations that you have, and then you discover some 4 new legs, 4 legs of success, basically. That is determination, the diligence, analysis, and concentration. These are the 4 legs, 4 legs, because otherwise people are crippled. And these are all spiritual kind of legs, because they'll give you a great ability to bounce and move great heights. And that's the third group. And so these first 3 groups are 4 each, so there are 12. For the 12. For the first 12 links, first 12 factors of enlightenment are all people of lesser level. So these are all below the saint level, ordinary people. So everybody who's a path of accumulation, practitioners will be practicing primarily those first 3 sets of 4 groups. And after you do the meditation, because you have now determination, diligence, and analysis to concentration and meditation, and then you're starting to develop the what we call the meditative concentration. So you're starting to see the path of preparation, which is called. So this is called five powers. So you gain 5 powers. 5 powers. So I won't list all those things. And then that's the 4th group. The 5th group is the 5 powers become 5 additional strengths. 5 additional strength that takes you to heights of within the path of preparation. There are 4 subdivisions. First 2 sets is covered by the first 5 powers. Second 2 are covered by these 5 strength. We can slightly distinguish between power and strength. So 2 sets of 5, 4 sets of 3s, 3 sets of 4, and then 2 sets of 5. So that's the first 5 groups. And the 6th group is the 7 limbs of enlightenment. The 7 limbs of enlightenment is definitely part of seeing. So that is already part of seeing onwards. So those first 22 factors, first 22 factors are basically below path of accumulation and path of preparation. And then the 7 factors, which are called the 7 limbs of enlightenment, are for attaining the path of seeing. And then the last group is go for Eightfold Noble Path. Eightfold Noble Path is necessary for people who have reached the path of meditation. So they are already attained Arhathood and Bodhisattvahood. So these are very highly evolved. These days, lots of people talk about Eightfold Path as if everybody, you and me, can practice. But whatever moral practices you may practice, even by the book. These are just virtuous conduct that we try to do in this conventional world, so that we do not do the wrong things to upset others and ourselves. But they are not really. They are just abstaining from wrong deeds, doing good deeds, right action. For instance, not killing. But these are not regarded as a level of the personal path of meditation. So anyway, let's not go into that. So those are the 37 factors of enlightenment. So basically, if you divide the 37 factors of enlightenment, they constitute the 5 paths and 10 stages. That's why I call path of enlightenment, 37 factors of enlightenment. So when you gain enlightenment, you first you are non-practitioner, and then practitioner enters into the path, and then you become lesser practitioner, and then intermediate practitioner, and advanced practitioner. So those first 12 factors are of those who are novice practitioners, slowly making progress. So of these 12 factors of enlightenment, I'm going to 37 factors of enlightenment. Tonight, being the first night, we're going to explore this first group. The first group is the 4 foundation of mindfulness, which examines the nature of all phenomena. Of these, first is phenomena of the body that we think that is we or ours, and mindfulness feeling, that is the emotional feelings, and the mind that actually which knows and does and feels all of that, and the phenomena out there. These 4 foundations of mindfulness, respectively, covers the 4 very important Buddhist tenets. If you are able to meditate on the 4 first foundation of mindfulness body. For instance, you're going to correct one misconception that our body is some pure or desirable. For instance, we might like our body, outwardly, or height, or strength, or whatever, color, or fitness, or whatever, as well as we might like somebody's body, desire them. So when we are not mindful, we desire body, we become attached to our form. When our body is actually showing sign of wear and tear, we become depressed. That's because we don't have the mindful of the body. Body is always a transient collection. Body is by definition transient collection, but yet we don't have the awareness the body is transient collection that is largely not only transient, is a very understatement. It's a filthy bag of gas, liquid, mucus, and blood. I don't know how much is our body weight. Is most of them, I'm told, liquid. And what is the liquid? What is the liquid? It's mainly blood, and mainly in quite a lot of urine, and all the intestines are filled with gold coins. So body from the head hairs to the hair, body hairs. They are, when people discover a little piece of hair in the food, they wouldn't eat. They would reject the food. Why? Because they're eating fish, but they don't want to eat human hair in it. Humans so deluded. One moment they think the fish is okay, but the hair inside not. Why? They think hair is dirty. Why? It's human hair. It's not Buddhism, This is not Buddhism saying these things, Modern culinary people telling that he shouldn't be served the hair. Yet people are so attached to the hairs. So they become so deluded with the hair and with other people's hair, and they are so deluded. It's like they're craving for that, they're desiring, and they don't realize that this is mindless obsession of a body that is actually a bag of filth with lots of hairs on it. And yet people are desiring, people are grasping and craving for them. So the mindfulness body is to know that body is transient. It is collected with the solid. The solid means the eight big bones, so many ribs, on the bone side. Those just little big bones, and so many ligaments, so many joints, so many knuckles, so many dirty fingernails. even they're painted, they are really, really hiding the real color. So meditating on the body is fact. It's a fact, the truth. It's the truth about it. But when we are not mindful, we are craving, we are desiring. So meditating on the mindful body is mindfulness body of both genders. It's in the Buddhist. Most of the authors are monks, and those for most people for whom they write are monks. So they think as this female body is the one that is full of 36 impurities, as a male body is not. That's not the case. The author's body is just as filthy, particularly those hairy guys. One strand of hair is intolerable, just let alone all the hairs. So every human being's body is all by nature undesirable. It's transient. It's full of decaying, full of aging. They are not getting stronger and beautiful, no matter how much we try to make ourselves look clean and beautiful. But it's only a matter of 3 hours. It looks fresh. After that, it's back to normal. So that's why you can see how clean the human body is. If our human body is clean and desirable, there shouldn't be any of the tissues everywhere in the boxes, tissue boxes everywhere, all these cleaning agents everywhere, because the body is so filthy. It's got 9 orifices. They're all leaky holes. They are all leaky holes, and it can't hardly hold any of them. Everything inside the body is not possible, even for the doctor daring to look. They have to wear masks, they have to wear glasses, and they have to wear gloves. it's because they're so clean? No, it's so difficult to even to look, So our body is definitely not pleasant and unpleasant. So meditating on the nature of the body mindfully is in many ways is the first teaching that body is not pure and desirable. And if that sinks into one's mind, we may agree to it when we are listening, when we're reading to the teachings, but we don't have the mindful to remember that. And of course, we always try to hide the real color of the body, real shape of the body, and and so we try to create a cosmetic appearance that body is much more beautiful than it appears. So the whole idea of mindfulness body is to teach us to overcome our desire and craving for the body, we're not talking about only this sexual desire you're talking about. Even just people about themselves. Most people are not happy with their body as in comparison with other people's body. They don't realize other people in that body are just as miserable. They wish their body was something else, So there is no really body that is ideal and perfect in any life's form. So the mindfulness body correct the first of the four misconceptions, that is the thinking body is desirable and pure when it is not. So that's the first misconception. Meditating on the feelings, mindfulness feeling is all the feelings that we have are even the pleasant feelings are only pleasant feelings are maybe pleasure may be pleasant feeling, but even pleasurable feelings are transient, impermanent. That the pleasurable feeling will only last for a little while, and soon even the pleasure, what was pleasure only a minute ago, has now become cause of displeasure. So all feeling, even pleasant feelings, become unpleasant very quickly. Let alone the unpleasant. If something is unpleasant, of course, it is already unpleasant. So when you have unpleasant feeling, it's already suffering. All feelings are suffering, they call it. All feelings are suffering. But ordinary deluded people don't think so. They think there are some pleasure that is not suffering. They still think that pleasures are real pleasurable feelings, because they don't have the mindfulness of it. So they are craving, they are grasping, they're wanting, and their sorrow, their sadness comes from attachment to unpleasant feelings that they think is pleasure. So therefore, even pleasure is not pleasant; it's suffering for those who are mindful. Yeah, even pleasure they don't get attached to it, let alone the displeasure, let alone the neutral ones. Yeah. For a practitioner, the mindful of meditation, then you do not become so attached to pleasure, because even the pleasant experience themselves is only temporary. It will not last long. So there's nothing to become attached to. Nothing to become attached to. Even unpleasant feeling that someone caused to you, they are not there. Your cause of the unpleasant feeling that you exchange with somebody is not there. The cause and condition then is completely gone. Because we are not mindful, we are still miserably feeling unpleasant feeling towards it. Why? Because we don't have the mindfulness of feeling that the cause and objects and conditions, however multitude of cause they look like a cause of misery, is not there at all. It's not even a single thing is there, except your mind being completely doing it by all yourself. So that's when we are mindful. We don't have the mindfulness of feeling. Mindfulness feeling of emotions, We're not talking just mindfulness feeling of body, We have physical feeling, pleasant, unpleasant, neutral feeling. But most peoples are not mindful of their emotional feelings. about things, about places, about events, about what happened, because they do not know the mindfulness, impermanence of the objects and subjects, causes and conditions are impermanent. They're still stuck in the thinking that the object and causes that made you to feel then there is still there, because one is not mindful to know the feelings. That's we were just reading just then. Feeling is emptiness. Emptiness is feeling. Empty is no other than feeling. Feeling is no other than emptiness. I mean, this is profound teaching on emptiness. But you need to first learn the impermanence of the feelings. Don't dismiss everything being empty by itself. It's empty of what? Empty is permanence. Empty of permanence. Not empty of existence. It did exist for a certain time. But after that, the cause of the condition was impermanent. It didn't exist. So therefore, the feeling is not there to cause. So that's why feeling is empty of independent, permanent, continuing existence. Yet, deluded sentient beings who are not aware, mindful of the feeling, are still attached to it, one out of fondness, another out of aversion. Incredible. All those hurts and pains and bruises and trauma are all due to lack of mindfulness of impermanence of feelings. So meditation on the mindfulness of feeling is, you don't have to be a believer in Buddhism. You just have to be a person who is living under his skin and feeling all the problems. And where does his suffering come from? His own misconception. The feelings are permanent and real, and the causes are monolithically, independently existing out there, which is completely wrong. So the erroneous views of thinking feelings are pleasant and permanent is corrected if you have the mindfulness feeling. Not just once and for all. From there onwards, you will discover the realization that you could not be hurt easily, nor you could suffer loss of anything, nor you could feel sad what happened or what didn't happen. Why? Because you're attached to pleasant feelings of being with someone or doing this and owning this or being in a position of being able to do those. All the sufferings comes from thinking that possession is still real, the possession is still real, as the possession is not there, possession is not there, let alone the possessor. That we are still stuck in thinking, I'm me, because we don't have the mindfulness of phenomena yet. If you have the mindfulness of phenomena, you will be one of the prime. First person phenomena is you. You are empty, full stop. Let alone your problems. You don't have any problems. If you have the mindfulness feeling, your feelings are all empty of true existence. It's not empty of existence, but empty of independent, unitary, inherent, permanent existence. Okay, you have to really list these things. When we say everything is empty, it doesn't mean empty of emptiness, meaning nihilism. That's an extreme we need to avoid. In Buddhism, we call it the middle way. Middle way, try to avoid the falling into the extreme of nihilism, saying that this is nothing, this is nothing. That's not Buddhism. Buddhism saying this, everything is empty of independently existing thing, empty of unitarily, meaning by itself. Empty of permanent means that thing that doesn't change. No? So yes, there was a feeling, but there is no longer that feeling, and so on. So when you meditate, when you heed to this teaching, that if you have the mindfulness feeling, you have heard the teaching of impermanence. When you have heard the teachings of impermanence, you have really heard the Buddha. Even if the Buddha was in person, and you went to Bodh Gaya and you met the Buddha, had a coffee and had a chat, and he told you the teaching. There's no fantastic extraordinary. He says everything is impermanent. By the way, we never think it's a teaching. We think it's bad news. It's a good news. It's everything is impermanent. Means there isn't any problem even. Come on. You don't have to solve no problems because the problem isn't there except you thinking it's real and permanent. It's a cognitive problem. It's not a material problem. So we have to learn the knowledge that things are impermanent. So when you can metacognitively know, partly being saying even body is unpleasant or whatever, is because body does look beautiful, but it will soon disappear, So therefore, impermanence helps us to know why body is unsatisfactory or impure, because it looks pure, looks straight, looks strong, looks young, but it won't stay long. You have been yourself. You've been about 40 years ago. How amazing you looked, And now you couldn't believe what you have become, Look at your little finger. The big finger and toes and everything is completely aged, you have a bit of a blueprint left, but there isn't anything of the whatever you be able to do, where you used to do, how long you could jump, how quickly you walked, and whatever. There isn't anything. It's almost feels unsure that you ever had those youth and strength and ability. Now they are completely gone. So you don't have to. It's not an exaggeration. It's not just a kind of a teaching that we couldn't believe or we couldn't see. We could see every day how much body decays and ages. It doesn't have to get sick. It's just the passage of time alone. You can see, So therefore, when you are able to have mindfulness of body, from the outside to the inside, from the top to the bottom, from left to right, from front to back. So when you're able to meditate on that, then what it does, it slowly discourages attachment, desire, and clinging. So attachment, desire, and clinging is the root afflictions. So mindfulness body therefore gives you how to not to do the afflictions, do the desire, do the craving, do the clinging to it, mindfulness body. And then it is that very body in which you are feeling the unpleasant feelings, all the illnesses. So all feelings that you have, even pleasant feelings that you no longer have, you do not become suffering, you do not become sad or hurt or like that. Why? If you have the mindfulness of feeling. If you don't have the mindfulness of feeling, even though you do fantastic sadhanas, practices, you still haven't got the grip of mindfulness feeling. You do these fantastic esoteric sadhanas, you snap the fingers and do all kinds of things. You recite long mantras, but for what? You can't even understand that. You don't even have the mindfulness of feeling. This is the foundation of mindful feeling. Foundation of your mindfulness. Even if even if you know deities, wisdom, all sorts of things, in everyday life, mindfulness feeling is the most pertinent teachings, because it helps you to rectify the wrong view. Things are permanent. Incredible suffering. That what he said is permanent, what he did is permanent. We are suffering because still we think the person is the same person who said what. It's not the same person. The person has aged 40 years since, and he doesn't even remember doing what you do. It's you are the one who's attached. See, there's all. So you can see that when we do not have mindfulness feeling, that everything is impermanent. All feelings are impermanent. And teaching says all feelings are like bubbles. Watch how long a bubble lasts. All the bubble will burst in no time before you have time to actually do anything. All subject and object of your feelings, however pleasant they were, you shouldn't get attached to them, mourn and groan that you have lost them. It's childish. It's childish. You haven't grown up. You haven't heard any teachings. If you have, you haven't heard of them. You misunderstood them. Buddha said, listen carefully. People listen the word, but not the intended meaning to hit the target. Listen carefully until it hurts. Teaching is not teaching unless it hurts your weak spots. Just listening for the entertainment, for the evening, for a couple of hours, that's not teaching, that's entertainment. Teachings are bitter. Truth. Buddha spoke the truth. He not only spoke one truth, he spoke 4 truths. Our suffering, truth of suffering, comes from our misconception, thinking things are permanent. And we are permanent. And when we have this misconception about other things being permanent, we think our feelings are permanent, and we still are hurt from the feeling. We couldn't get rid of the feeling because we are so mindless about the feeling, being me or mine. And then who did it? The others did it. It's amazing. Almost like a multitude of misconception. Layers and layers of misconception. Nothing is permanent. The instigator is impermanent. The causes and conditions are impermanent. Action itself is impermanent. It's not there. We ourselves is impermanent, and all of these things are impermanent. Yet you are still keeping intact the whole picture, but nothing but the same picture, and we think this is poor me. What happened? And all our suffering comes from not knowing the feelings are impermanent, not independent, not unitarily existing, not truly existing. That's why we have to develop the mindfulness of feeling, that feelings are impermanent, and therefore we need to remove the wrong props that is holding your hurt and pain, and thinking he said this, he did this to me, and therefore caused me the harm. We think the hurtful feeling is truly independently existing. If it's permanent, then it should exist way before it happened. So whatever happened, everything that happened is impermanent. They say all conditioned things are impermanent. This is the mindfulness of feeling, because all your feelings are conditioned. All feelings are conditioned, and all feelings can be deconditioned. If you have the mindfulness of feeling, all pleasant feelings are also fleeting. Fleeting, rise, stays, and goes down. Like the sun, in the morning, sun, rise, and then all of a sudden it sets. Everything. So it's nothing unique about your particular life. To everyone, things rise, things stays, things plateau, and things goes down. It's the nature of things. This is the mindfulness. Mindfulness is blissful, they say. Therefore, if you have the mindfulness of feelings, you will not have misery, because you are enticed, you are relishing the teaching that everything is impermanent. That's what Buddha said. One who have listened and heard the teaching of impermanence has heard the Buddha. They don't need to hear any nectar-like teachings, because they will not get attached to pleasant feelings, even if they think they lost it. And the feeling your pleasant feeling doesn't arise entirely from the object. It's your attachment, your fantasy, your grasping. Your fantasy makes it look better than it actually is. It didn't last. The thing will not last longer than it did. But you thought it will last longer than longer. So because of our attachment, we exaggerate as the object has a long-lasting durability to be there for you to have some pleasure in your own kind of fantasy. So pleasure you didn't find from anywhere, but how would that lasting will give you pleasure? It will not. So therefore, it's only mindless person are miserable. Therefore, mindfulness feeling is a medicine for people how to undo the hurt themselves by the teachings, to know that it examines. Remember, mindfulness of these 4 foundations, mindfulness that is examines the nature of all phenomena. What is nature of all phenomena? All phenomena are created out of nothing, Like the table is created out of not table. Table is created out of wood, and wood is created out of tree. So the tree is created out of soil. Tree doesn't grow in the midair. Even in the midair, it would come from midair. So everything was something else, but it stopped being that and became something else. So therefore, this natural transition of knowing all phenomena are different makes yourself to be mindful, and then not get attached to things, pleasant feelings, unpleasant feelings. You wouldn't be mourning or groaning of unpleasant feeling that happened years ago, months ago, weeks ago. Nor will you be complaining about a feeling that you previously have, and now you become sad. You suffer the loss of loved ones, your possessions, or your job, or your status, or whatever. You will not suffer. If the losing of the wealth and power gave suffering, why did Buddha renounce all those things? He renounced all these things because attachment to things gives the suffering. He deliberately let go of them so that he knows the bliss of non-attachment and to put an end to the misery of attachment. So mindfulness of feeling is knowing how all feelings, whether it's physical or emotional or mental, all are impermanent. So beginners have to be told material things are impermanent, and then slowly thoughts are impermanent, feelings are impermanent, and so mindfulness of the body enables oneself to correct the misconception body is desirable, and then second, mindfulness feeling makes that even the pleasant feelings are impermanent. The causes of condition, however, looked good, but they cannot stay permanently there to produce pleasant feelings. People who had to maybe exercise lots of many things and they enjoy many things, nowadays they can't enjoy any of their property and any of their possessions. They can barely lift their bottom up. They don't have any pleasure of looking at their object. When they look at the object, they feel miserable. They say, well, what the hell I spent all hoarding all of these things. And then all the object previously became a cause of promising make him happy, but now becomes a cause of misery and burden. And not only that, it will become cause of his, it will also haunt his consciousness. It will be the object, he will be haunting this. So where is the pleasant feeling from the possessions and power? No, it never existed then, never will, never has, and therefore let go. Have the bliss of non-attachment, mindfulness of feelings, mindfulness feeling. Mindfulness feeling therefore enables us also not to blame people, blame events, because they're all contributed and conditioned by many other unfortunate circumstances and stress and negative karma of themselves and others. So then we do not lump them as the primary or only cause of suffering. They are not. They themselves has been stressed by many things, by domino effect of past karmas and so on. So then you're mindful that even the things they did or they were doing were themselves out of their own control, and they themselves have some other things. Because of that, you're mindful of the feeling that you had is not independently caused by them. They themselves had another positive negative factors pressing onto them. Then you do not think wrongly that it is entirely due to their doing that we have felt that under their influence. We know that they are also influenced by a number of other factors. Because of that, we show kindness to those objects of enmity, because you're now mindful of feeling. You now realize you can actually show compassion to those previous objects of enmity because you're mindful of the feelings. And mindfulness feeling is a feeling in relation to emotions is even harder for most people. People think people are drowned in the emotion, and they think it's them, and they think it's their genetic. They think it's their mother. They think it's their father. They're so sure that his or her emotional bruises because of him in my life. People so wrongly conceive that their suffering, their unpleasant feeling, which they don't know about mindfulness, that is, it is interdependently originated. They think unitarily caused by him. To me, I suffer under him, and because of that, we are blaming, and we are developing many multitude of negative emotions. But once you become mindfulness feeling, the feelings are composites. Composite meaning it is conditioned by many things, many things, more than your naked eyes could see. Only the Buddha can see the emptiness of inherent existence or inherent cause of feeling, that one, this one, that. Buddha never point finger at anything as a cause. Buddha says everything interdependently originated. Incredible statement. If He dharma hetu prabhava, meaning all phenomena comes from causes and conditions. Buddha has also said how to uncause the causes and conditions. Suffering has come from causes, plural, and conditions, even plural. There is no one that causes us. Because we are not mindful of our feeling, we think our feeling is caused by one independent factor, a person, an event, and this and that. Because of that, we are so mindless about our feeling. We therefore hold great resentment towards one or the event or the thing, and because of that, we prolong our sufferings. So we do not know how to shorten our suffering. We do not know how to momentary our suffering. Our sufferings are momentary. When a person actually understands the feelings of suffering, even sufferings do not truly exist. Even temporary, permanent, present sufferings do not truly exist, let alone past suffering. Very good, isn't it? It gets better and better, Even present sufferings are not truly existing, let alone past ones, So you don't even have present trauma, let alone past trauma. When you have the mindfulness feeling. So mindfulness feeling is incredibly powerful. Even so, of course, when you have physical pains, for instance, you can't deny its existence of unpleasant physical sensation. Yeah. But as soon as you realize that this too will not last, and so when you start looking at other parts of the body, because you have a small patch of the body that is distressed, but other parts of the body are not distressed. You think about all the parts of the body not in stress. As soon as you focus your attention to the parts of the body not in stress, and you can actually sort of reduce the severity of the pain that you are complaining about. You can make things impermanent. Things are not just impermanent, you can do impermanent. Incredible. If you're mindful of the feelings. It's impermanent is not some kind of authority out there. There's it's about time he should get free. Let's switch off the pain. It's not like that. You can switch off the pain even as you speak. When you predispose your mind mindfully and truthfully to the teaching, you can see even present sufferings, anguish could be completely reduced to bare minimum, because there is pain, but doesn't need to have suffering. There's pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. Optionality of suffering is when even pain is impermanent. Causes are impermanent, conditions are impermanent, and particularly one subjective person is actually able to have this kind of mental constitution, your pain will straight away reduce. even physical pain. There's a lot of pain coping strategies, modern medicine and psychologists are trying very many hard to the patient. They really know that if they can give the good advice, the patients are really listening, they could really reduce the severity of the pain by changing the attitudes. Incredible how most of them are made by mindlessness of feeling, not having mindfulness of feeling. If you have mindful feeling, then your physical pain, let alone emotional ones. So mindfulness of feeling is incredibly important teaching. Mindful feeling is a little more deeper than the mindfulness body, because feelings really runs deep. Feelings runs very deep, and particularly emotional feelings, and so one needs to meditate on the sufferings of other sentient beings. If you can't deal with your own sufferings, that is to say they're impermanent, but you're still in it, you just couldn't slow it down, you can't reduce the suffering. There is no suffering really that you have to reduce. You just have to know they are impermanent. You can say, can you repeat that is impermanent? If you just say it is all impermanent, say it twice, say it 3 times, I'm sure it's going to change you. That's the whole how you have to condition that. Say, if you say a few times, it is impermanent, it will go. I'm going to get stronger, feeling is going to get weaker. You start thinking like that. So the feeling is mindfulness feeling enables you to not get attached to pleasant feelings. This is the whole thing. The reason why you're so corruptible by unpleasant feeling is you're attached to pleasant feelings. Because you're attached to pleasant feelings, you can't accept the pleasant one. Things are not that difficult right now, but because you're attached to the present feeling, you're perfectly fine to be where you are, but you are unable to detach from the past attachment to feelings of that. It's not there anymore. It's just a fantasy. It's all in your mind. Yeah, definitely it's all in your mind if you can find the mind, but by the time you find the mind, you can't find the damn thing. The problem is you can't find the mind. When the mind does the finding, it doesn't find the suffering. You can't find the suffering in any form or shape or color. It's it's just a mental stigma that you have attached. Poor me, I'm suffering. This happened to me. When you put all this description, then the suffering is enlarged. As more you monologue, the more the suffering enlarges. But you can also do the same thing. You can reduce the suffering to the level that this is nothing in comparison. They're suffering in comparison. He's suffering. These two will pass. This will make me strong. When you start thinking like that, you can make them impermanent. You have to do the impermanent thing. You have to change your attitude. Dharma means to change you, to change your attitude, change your thoughts, change your perception. That feelings are all sufferings, in the world. The suffering is, if you are suffering feelings, it's soul samsara is by nature suffering. It's a water by nature is wet and fluid. Samsara by nature is unsatisfactory because samsara is made out of deluded sentient beings, and you happen to be one of the population. So because you have a passport and you have an ID and you have address. See, you are fit into samsara. you are one of the sentient beings registered as a sufferer. Registered as suffering, and only beings who don't suffer is those who have little glimpse of the Dharma, the foundation of foundation mindfulness. When you see the truth, then you have the compassion for those who suffer like that. Your suffering is dismissible, and your suffering makes you to be humble. Shantideva says, suffering humbles my pride. It makes me to have compassion to myself and others who are worse off than others. So see, you can change suffering. Even suffering becomes, a feeling of suffering makes you to become compassion. If the suffering was suffering was permanent, you can't make it cause of compassion. It is constantly cause of suffering. Why is someone suffering always cause of suffering to you? Because you refuse to grow. If somebody's suffering is cause of compassion to someone like His Holiness Dalai Lama, why is suffering of other people is cause of compassion for His Holiness and not you? Because you don't have a mind to think like that of Dalai Lama. If you really tune up your mind, it does. It actually have all the capacity to do that. So that shows the suffering itself is not permanent, because it can cause empathy to some. It can make somebody feel good. Their enemy is suffering. They feel good. So it's why it's like that. That shows there is no inherently existing suffering that is permanent and has the identical effect to everyone who exposes to it. So the suffering is impermanent. All feelings are impermanent. This is very important cause for realized mindfulness feeling. Then you can make your feeling impermanent by not predisposing with that kind of attitude with which you are making yourself suffer. So you have many, many different shades of thoughts that you can choose. And when you play this card of the thought, you don't suffer. When you play this kind of thought, you suffer. Now you know how to turn your card very quickly. You shuffle your card of thoughts, and straight away you find the joker there. Laughing at all this, gosh, you're so stupid. Again, you're so stupid. You're doing it again, gosh. and then you say, oh gosh, it's so simple but so hard. Yes, mindfulness feeling is very simple but very hard when you have no refuge in the Dharma. You totally believe in the Buddha and how true the Dharma is. It's incredibly true that one must believe in it and one should have faith in it, and then keep repeating yourself these sayings. All feelings are impermanent. Feelings are empty. Emptiness is feeling. Feeling is no other than emptiness. Emptiness is no other than feeling. I mean, we read that. When you're actually feeling something, you couldn't rectify that at all. What was that muttering you doing all about? Even you did so many every day, so what? You're not getting even the mindful feeling to change your misery. You're still moaning and groaning into that because you don't have the mindful feeling. So if you have mindful feeling, all feelings are impermanent. Not only feeler, but felt, but cause of the feelings and conditions of the feelings. Even the pleasant feeling that you attach to is not there at all. To think it is there is the misconception. Your attachment to the pleasant feeling is the cause of your misery. It's not the change. Change is not the cause of your misery. Your attachment to the thing that you think it shouldn't change is the cause of the misery. That is the mindfulness feeling we don't have. So when you truly hear the teaching, you will say, that's the case. Therefore, you straight away drop your wrong views and then see the impermanent. Now you can. Impermanent is what you do, not what it is. You have to do consciously what changes your fixation or attachment that is the cause of suffering. The change is not cause of suffering. People wish things change. When it does, it doesn't suit you. When it doesn't suit you. Nothing suits you. So, when things change, why aren't you happy? Why? Because you're attached to past or thing, or what do you think it is? It is not there anymore. You still think it is. It's your fantasy that you are still young. They don't want you to come to work. You are making too many mistakes. They really wish you didn't come to work, Yet you think you are indispensable. For example, sorry about some people because it might straight away make us also feel like that. I'm included, by the way. I'm not me teaching, I'm the one who's teaching is not me, One who's listening with you is me, Yesterday we were doing long life prayer, and I was doing my long life prayer, and people were laughing. I said, I'm not doing my long life prayer. I said, I'm doing the long life of that fellow. So we need to really do some cleaning act of our misery, the mindlessness of feelings. It's so stubborn, so slow, so refusal to change, so unheedful to the teachings. And that's what we suffer. We suffer from not from change. We suffer from our refusal to change. We need to go with the flow. If the water is flowing this way, we go with the flow. And then we won't suffer. But water is flowing this way, we are flowing opposite. That's why we are drowned. So it's our refusal to change attitudes, and because we are not doing and adhering to the teaching of impermanence, and therefore we suffer. Next is the mindfulness, foundation mindfulness of mind. Now this is the harder one than the first two. First two is body and feelings. But the hardness of not being able to have mindfulness of body and feeling is because we don't have the mindfulness of mind. So the mindfulness of mind is being able to metacognitively read your mind. And not asking people to read your lips, asking yourself to read your mind. And when you are mindful of mind, where one watches one's own mental state and what it is, where it came from, where it is going. Here one learns to watch the mind if one can spot it. That's why meditation is very important. When you learn to sit still and watch the breath slowly, we teach people to watch the breath or the posture, but really the breath and the posture is just a sight. So that you, looking through the sight of the breath, you will start to see the mind. But most people don't see the mind very easily because their duration to sit meditation is not long enough. One therefore learn to see the mind, and when one is looking for the mind is not visible for the eyes, audible for the ears, like flower is, or like car is, or like a food is, or like a smell is, or like taste is, a touch is. Mind doesn't have color, form, smell, taste, touch, any of that. So that's why mind is much harder. It says here in the text that when you start your mind, you can see the negative mind, positive mind, neutral mind. Generally, there are three. They say that there are actually 20 states of mind you can see. You can see you're attached to something when you're really mindful, or you're not attached to something. So they call attached and non-attached mind. When you're mindful of the severity of the problem caused by attachment to something, your mind is attached to something, then you can see the feeling of difficulties that you have is caused by attachment. And then you can switch off to the non-attached mind. I can choose not to be not attached to it, and then you become mindful of the problem caused by attached mind. And then you can switch to non-attached mind. That's the first pair. Second pair is hating mind, or mind of ill will, a mind of goodwill. Yeah. When you have mind of ill will, and when you know that you have ill will to someone or about something or whatever, people say, "I hate it." Those people who have lots of the mind of ill will and attachment, they say, "I love it, I hate it, I love it, I hate it." They usually say one after the other, one after the other. They hardly got much to say except "I hate it, I love it," type of things. But one who see that when you talk about "I hate something," you can see you have a mind of hate, a mind of ill will. When you see the mind of ill will, you are hard on yourself, you are aggressive, hostile towards others, and you know this is not tenable. So that is mindfulness of a ill will mind, or hard or hostile mind. Now, if you know how severe and useless that is, then you choose the mind of no ill will. Yeah, mind of no ill will, like mind of goodwill. Mind of goodwill towards someone, or towards yourself, or towards something. Then you straight away say, I want to do this more often. When you meditate on loving kindness, when you meditate on compassion, recite Avalokiteshvara mantra or something, and think of all the others, and when you try to think of loving feeling towards, and then you feel so good, you feel uplifted in a state of mind of goodwill, yeah? See, you can see the mindful of goodwill. So now you're mindful of your mind that can do goodwill, and you can see it's better not to do mind of ill will. The third pair is ignorant mind and non-ignorant mind. So when you know you are ignorant mind, usually when you're ignorant, you do not know you are ignorant. But if you have mindfulness of mind, you know it's ignorant mind when it is ignorant mind. Very good. So when you're not mindful, even though you're ignorant, you refuse that you're ignorant. You don't even think you are ignorant. But when you're mindful of mind, you know you are ignorant. When you're ignorant, you know it is useless, waste of time, and there is a mind that can choose not to be ignorant. So then you learn Dharma, for instance. You read Dharma teachings, you listen to the teaching, you study, you discuss, you define the concepts and ideas. You're mindful of a wisdom mind that you can choose instead. As soon as you become exposed to the teaching, your mind is now mindful of the thought, a mind that can be better with the wisdom. So mindful of wisdom mind, and which is contrastly different to that of mindful of ignorant. So because you are mindful of ignorant mind, you're not going to do the mindful of ignorant. When you are not mindful of doing ill will, you're still doing ill will. So that's the mindfulness of mind, is when you see the harm caused by doing ill will, and choose to do mind of goodwill because you are mindful of benefit of goodwill. And then another is, this all comes from meditation, mindfulness of distracted mind, mindful of not distracted mind. When you're meditating, say when you're watching the breath or counting the breath or reciting mantra, you're reciting mantra but you can still, you're reciting mantra but you don't know you're distracted. Looks pretty good. Your mala is being counted, yeah, as you're feeling some kind of intestine or something. This is Tibetan saying, They say all these people counting malas, but mind is wandering everywhere, So when you're not mindful, you're counting mala, but mind is wandering everywhere. So you're not aware of the distracted mind. Yeah? But when you're mindful of mind, you know you're distracted when you're distracted. So mindful of mindfulness. Mindfulness of mind is knowing that you're distracted when you're distracted. And then you are attention. Then you are mindful of the attention for which you should be focusing on too. You're not just merely turning pages and reciting prayers. You are actually focusing on the meditation, the object, the feelings, and devotion, and whatever you're actually mindful of whether your mind is with the thing you're doing or mind is elsewhere, but the fingers are counting the beads. The fingers are not mindful. Fingers are fingerfully working hard. Finger is fingerfully working hard while the mind is doing the wandering. People's malas become worn out. Malas become worn out. The mind is wandering everywhere. So you can see fingerful. Most people practicing fingerfully. So knowing that when you're distracted, is mindfulness of distraction. And then when you're concentrating, mind is opposite to distraction. When you're concentrating, you are concentrating. You're mindful of the concentration, of the concentrating you are doing. You're delighted, they say. You feel blissful. You feel jumping. The Tibetan word is tingin zin. Tingin means it's so silent and peaceful, and you're holding your mind in that incredible serenity and the tranquility. It's just there. Your mind is just holding on to that. And because you're mindful of the very mind, watching its luminosity, or watching of its colorless, or watching its agelessness, watching that is the mindful of the mind in concentration. Yeah, mindful of the mind in concentration. Usually, no, we are not mindful. We're not mindful. Whatever we think is real. We think the object, a subject, whatever we think is real. And but the real mindful mind, they say, it should be see all things as mirage. All thought, think of your distraction as mirage. Very good. Then you wouldn't be clubbing on the distraction and the door knock and all the rest. You think these are all as mirage. Feeling was a bubble. And thought is all as mirages. So as soon as you know you are distracted, the distraction itself is a mirage. And then you're back to mindfulness of being concentrated of the teachings. And then mindfulness of being discouraged, or being discouraged, lazy, faith, losing devotion. You can see you're mindful of discouragement. You're mindful of being lazy, But when you are not mindful, you don't know you are discouraging, you are lazy, or you are self-deprecating, or you are self-loathing, or you're not knowing self-loathing when you're self-loathing. So when you're mindful, you know you are discouraged by you, and then you're mindful, I'm inspired. You can be inspired. You can be inspired mindfully when you're inspired by the qualities of Buddha. When you think of qualities of Buddha and how true the Dharma is, and how good it is to listen and read and practice Dharma, remember these things. When you're doing this, then you feel mindful of inspiration. Yeah, mindfulness, how to inspire you, and you are mindful of how to do the meditation of inspiration. You know the physics of mindfulness, of becoming inspired. You're not easily discourageable by a negative person, for instance. Somebody is telling terrible things to you about one thing, and they try to poison you. You will not be poisonable. Why? You have much more positive thought outlook that inspire you, because you're mindful of the inspiration to keep, rather than easily lending your ear to the negativities. So you can see when you are mindful of mind, you can treat what you're hearing as mirage, and keep your mind to be very, very inspired. And so you can see these 20 mental states is actually 10 sets of positive and 10 sets of negative. And and then another is the pacified, non-pacified mind and pacified mind. Peaceful mind or not peaceful minds. So your mind is very unpeaceful. You're angry. You're sad. Your mind is turbulent. You're so disturbed by the disturbing emotions. When you know you are disturbed and you are really agitated, you don't like it, and you know that that is the disturbing emotion, then you know it is unpacified mind. When you're experiencing unpacified mind, you don't think it's object or subject or something else. You know it's your mind that's doing it. That's the mindfulness of unpacified mind. As soon as you know that, then you realize you can pacify the unpacified mind, and therefore you can able to switch how to pacify the unpacified mind, and then you instantly, or maybe in a little while later, you find yourself at peace. So now you know how to bring your mind in the peaceful state of mind. Why? The unpeaceful state of mind is like a mirage. You know why? It just looked from one angle, but from another angle it doesn't exist. Why? Because you're mindful of mind. Mindful mind enables you to switch your mind from negative states and treat them as an illusion, treat them as a mirage, and then quickly switch your mind into the positive. So, and then for non-focused mind to the focused mind. So meaning attentive mind and unattentive mind. When your mind is unattentive, your mind is scattered. You can see the scattered mind when it is scattered if you have mindfulness of the mind. So it's not necessarily you are always focused, that is mindfulness of mind. It's being able to know that you're scattered when you're scattered is also mindfulness of the mind, you know. So don't think when mindfulness is always only good ones, you know. Even you are scattered, it's good to know I'm scattered. As soon as you're not scattered, you're not scattered. It's not knowing you're scattered, is scattered. But when you know that your mind is scattered, and all of a sudden you are mindful that it is scattered, and then you slowly gather it back. So mind is mindful, and then all of a sudden mind is now focused. Now your mind is very focused. You are inhaling when you're inhaling. When you're doing long inhaling, you're long inhaling. When you're doing short exhalation, you're short exhaling. And you are completely with the focused attention at your will, because you are mindfulness of mind. Because the opposite of your whatever is negative is mirage. You know, it appeared but doesn't exist. You know, so you're not overwhelmed by what exists like a mirage. You actually treat it as a mirage, and then quickly, you know, regain your consciousness, if you like, from the unfocused state to the focused mind. Unacquainted with path to acquainted with path. Because when you're acquainted with path, you say, oh, this is Dharma. One should think like this. Or I shouldn't be thinking like this. Those who are not acquainted with path, they don't have anything to acquaint to, because they're so far badly influenced by negative thoughts, they do not know how to acquaint themselves to the path. So when your mind is not acquainting yourself to the path that you know you're supposed to be familiar with, then you know the unacquainted path, mind of unacquainted path. Mind is not developing, familiarizing with the path when it should. So if you apprehend when your mind is squandering or wandering off, when it is wandering off, that's mindfulness of mind. Because you're mindful of the mind that is wandering off, and then as soon as you know your mind is wandering off and acting as not acquainted with path, then you bring think of bodhicitta or loving kindness or forgiveness, devotion, and impermanence. When you start doing now you're back to where you want to be. You're thinking of gentleness, kindness, tolerance, impermanence, and so on. Then you are now mindful of acquainting the mind with the path according to the path. So you're, I'm glad this is exactly where I want to be. So you're mindful of one who's have acquaintance to the path. Otherwise, you act as though you are neophyte or you never heard teachings, you know, and you wouldn't know that you are not on the teachings if you're like that. But when you know that you are not acquainted with the path, you are realizing that you are acting as you're not acquainted with the path. You almost feel shame. Being able to feel shame is mindfulness of mind, and as soon as you realize that, then you can see there is almost a precaution you yourself able to give to your own mind, not to do that. So that is the mindfulness of mind that is actually working, and incredibly so. Then there's a difference between also non-liberated mind and a liberated mind. Non-liberated mind is the mind that has no idea that it needs liberating. it is completely indulging in its own neurosis and suffering. It doesn't know it needs liberating. It doesn't know he or she has to change his attitudes or thought. They are completely dug in with the suffering of their own making, but yet they know they don't know they have created that. So that is a non-liberated mind, and if we can only apprehend that as non-liberated mind, then of course that means you have heard some teachings. All of a sudden you regain your consciousness how unliberated my mind is. I shouldn't let itself to stay in this kind of squalid situation, and then you become mindful of the non-liberated mind and the peril and problem that it brings onto you. As soon as you do that, then you become mindful of the non-liberated mind and learn how to switch toward the liberated mind. Through prayer, through supplication, through dedication, through mantras, all of those things become mindfulness of one who's seeking to become liberated. Or seeing the possibility of one that his mind can be liberated. And you are very, very flexible in terms of knowing that your mind is not rigid and stiff. It is changeable, it's pliant. You're mindful of liberatable. The fact that your mind can be liberated. Those who are not, they say, no, I'm not, we can't be bothered. They become very stagnant, they become very, very pessimistic and refusing that there's any hope for change. So that's one who is in the mood of not wanting to liberate and not even aware that he's doing non-liberated mind. One who is mindful of the defects and harm and demerit of the non-liberated mind, then quickly learn to switch to what ways, manners, and techniques, prayer or meditation or mantra, whatever, will liberate my mind. So then you quickly switch, latch onto the factors and conditions that usually have given you avenue that can set yourself free from those mental fixation. Then you are mindful of liberated mind or liberatable mind. Even when you're studying, when you're practicing, you are hoping that your mind can improve itself. So mindful of improvable nature of your mind, that you do not want to lag and fall into the deep end because of one unconsciously doing non-liberated mind. So in this way, the teaching here lists 10 pairs of mind sets. If we are mindful of mind. So maybe a greedy mind, an ungreedy mind, And then when you're not greedy, you're very contented. When you're very contented, you're mindful of contentment. You realize how virtuous, how wholesome it is to be contented. And straight away you're discontent. What's like you're discontent? You're disgruntled. Your disgruntled comes from when you know that you are disgruntled, you can see I am predisposing myself to this disgruntled mind. So then you become mindful of the mind of a disgruntled mind. And you can ask yourself, do you really want to do this? No, I don't want to do this. Oh, I didn't realize it's my own disgruntled mind. So it's quite good, isn't it? When one is not mindful, one thinks, no, there are 20 million reasons for you to be disgruntled, and until the world fix it, you're going to stay disgruntled. Stupid. Oh, so stupid. One doesn't know one is stupid. Of course, how can you make them wiser? To know that you are very stupid is quite wise, So mindfulness of knowing that you are stupid is mindfulness. That's the Buddha say, we are all pigs, We are all pigs. He says, if you don't recognize how ignorant you are a pig, If you don't know how angry you are, look at the venomous snake down there. If you do not know how desirous you are, look at the rooster. Buddha was incredible, He tried so hard to illustrate, Those days there's no chalk, no whiteboard, no overhead projection, but he gave the amazing visual dharma. He straight away gave a visual dharma so that we become illustratingly teaching, so that we actually see with the pictures what you are doing. And when we become mindful of ignorance, It's like pig, He's eating all the dirty things the owner gives, but he doesn't know that everything that is fed to him is made to kill him soon. Incredible analogy Buddha was. So he lived in palace, but he must have seen some pigs. And those animals are as old as history, I think. pigs, and a rooster and snakes. You use very good examples, because we all have those animal instincts. When we are deluded, we don't become human. We don't want to improve. When we become mindful that how filthy it is to do what ignorant is, because if you have any smallest little bit of filth on your shirt, you quickly take it off and wash it and put a new one. But you don't know how dirty you are covered in the filth of pig poo. It's not visible, it's very dirty, and mindful of how filthy you are with your ignorance, how stupidity, how grasping you are to the unpleasant things as pleasant, impermanent things as permanent, is so filthy, No matter how many times you wash a shower, you can't wash it. Even 10 minutes shower couldn't wash it. We try to reduce people to 5 minutes shower, but I think we shouldn't mind people staying long in showers, only if they really wash the real filth. Most people are washing so many times, but they're never washing the real thing. So that's why we have many meditation techniques, how to visualize all your gunk, coming out in form of blood, pus, and soot coming out of you, that represent your enmity, that represent your selfishness, that represent your venom of hatred and jealousy and lack of gratitude and resentment. So the teaching is so carefully designed to wake us up from this for lack of mindfulness, for misconceptions. The fifth and last one is mindfulness of phenomena. Now this fourth one is mental object, mindfulness of mental object. So unless you have adequate realization, mindfulness of body, feeling and thought, mind, you cannot be mindful of object. As soon as you become mindful of thoughts, then you realize all objects are just thought about the objects. They're just merely conceived and imputed and labeled by the mind to the object. Object itself lacks the name from its own side, let alone the description that goes with it, a commentary that goes with it. Object itself doesn't have. Object is just completely at the mercy of the subject. So when you're mindful of objects, the objects look like do not truly exist. Objects are empty of existence. What is the mindfulness of objects? Empty of existence from their own side. They are merely imputed. So they are merely mentally contrived in our mind and labeled too. All mental objects that one looks at are external phenomena or internal phenomena. Maybe your body, maybe your thoughts, maybe your values and so on. So it could be external and internal. The teaching says there are external phenomena and internal phenomena. So you can call it matter and consciousness. So mindfulness of phenomena does not include just external object, okay? It also includes mindfulness of your meditation. So, like we have many things that is inside us physically, as well as mindfulness of psychology, mindfulness of teachings on compassion, mindfulness of teaching on impermanence, mindfulness teaching on bodhicitta and tolerance. Four immeasurables, you hear them, incredible, really. You become so mindful of the teaching on this, teaching on that. It is all about mindfulness of loving kindness, for instance, mindfulness of compassion, mindfulness of equanimity, joyfulness, tolerance, mindfulness of joy, of humility, and contentment, the satisfaction of contentment. And these are all mindfulness of internal, meditative, mental phenomena. They're not objective physical phenomena that exists as a matter. So the mindfulness of phenomena of matter and consciousness, between matter and consciousness. Mindfulness of phenomena is actually includes also the different many states of arhats and advanced bodhisattvas when they go to many like that. Like the 5 paths and 10 stages of meditations are all when you become very, very mindful of the phenomena of the meditative experiences. Yeah, meditative experiences are all when you become mindful of those phenomena of experiences of meditation, then you actually have a demarcation of which path of stage or path you can reach, what symptoms, signs or success mentally, emotionally you will experience, what kind of realization you have. These are all mindfulness phenomena known as mental phenomena. Subjective mental phenomena or experiences, realizations. They are not some visible things for the eyes to see as mindfulness of visual phenomena, mindfulness of auditory phenomena, something you hear to, but mindfulness of subjective mental phenomena, meditation itself. So these 4, if I may summarize, by meditating on the mindfulness body, one engages in the realizations of noble truth of suffering. Okay, so these 4 noble truths goes with these 4 mindfulnesses. Why? Because body is, the more you meditate on the body, more the body turns out to be the base and nest and cause of sufferings, isn't it? The body is suffering. Basically, body is suffering. From the day that you landed, as soon as we were born, we cried. Do you remember? As soon as we were born, we cried, and then we haven't stopped crying ever since. Because the body is always the base of suffering, isn't it? Whether you get food or we don't get food or whatever, body is the truth of suffering. And by meditating on mindful feeling, one realizes the truth of the origin of suffering. Second noble truth. Second noble truth is elucidated when you realize mindfulness of feeling. All feelings are of craving, of wanting, of desiring, of becoming attachment, of jealousy. All these are true origin of the feeling of sufferings, isn't it? True origin of feeling of suffering is not some losing something or that, because we are desiring, we are craving attachment. So true origin means source, true source of suffering is the feeling. Because when you remember the feelings are impermanent, mindful feeling, then you can actually discover the true origin of suffering is you needing to curtail that true origin of suffering, not false or secondary object of suffering. So you need to deal with your feelings, not the cause of your feelings, but your own feelings. So therefore, mindfulness feeling empowers us to discover the second noble truth of origin of suffering. By meditating on the mindfulness mind, one engages in the realization of the noble truth of cessation. Because then now you're apprehending the mind is the one that is the source of the suffering. So if the suffering has to be stopped, it has to stop by realizing the mind as an illusion. Mind as a mirage. And so if the suffering is as easy as a mirage, then why can't you dismiss it as a mirage and not worry about it? You have to understand the mind. So therefore, mindfulness of mind is the truth of cessation, third noble truth. Now, mindfulness of phenomena, with one engage in realization of noble truth of path. Why? Because only by practicing the noble truth of path, noble truth of path, then all phenomena will be realized, will be truly realized as impermanent as not inherently existing, as emptiness, all will be confirmed. So mindfulness phenomena is basically to tell all phenomena are just mere mental depiction, designation, and figment of our mental image. Otherwise, they don't truly exist from their own side. This then enable us to always stay on the path. Noble Truth of Path is the fourth mindfulness of phenomena. Because all phenomena is great revelation. All phenomena teaches you they're impermanent, teaches you they're unsatisfactory, teaches they don't truly exist. You look at your own things in your possession, how 5 years ago how it looked good, now it is almost like throwaway. It is showing, your table shows it is impermanent. Do you want to get it's wonky, and the table itself teaches the impermanent, unsatisfactoriness, lack of truly existing things. Everything is particularly look at some broken object, you look at that's really impermanent. Or your maybe some nature of your relationship with some people, it was so good then, but now it's no sign of it. Did it go? The phenomena of the relationship is also very indicative that everything is empty and impermanent and unsatisfactory, don't truly exist. See, mindfulness phenomena is the truth of the path. You don't need to look teachings, you need to look at the things. The teaching pointing to look at the things, and when you have the mind to look at with the teaching is to teaching you to look. Teaching you to look at the phenomena. They are very obvious example of unsatisfactoriness. Look at your bed. It was very nice before you went in the morning. It looks like some pigs slept into the this pig was sleeping there for 8 hours. Yeah. Yeah, looks very unsatisfactory. Then all of a sudden you throw all the sheet and put new sheets and make it look pretty. Yeah. That's what the hotel business is. All of a sudden it looks nice, very nice. Put a flower and a little chocolate in a bit. After lying particularly in a hot weather, it's so unsatisfactory. The bathroom is unsatisfactory, the room is unsatisfactory, doormat is unsatisfactory, towel is unsatisfactory, everything is impermanent. There's no beauty, there's no cleanliness, everything's not there. And you can see all phenomena is the noble truth of path. You just look at all phenomena, they will show you these four conditions. So, therefore, noble truth of path is practiced more by meditating on the mindfulness of phenomena. Look all things. You just look at the early morning. You go out, and if there was a dew last night, just the grass, amazing. Watch those dews. How quickly they evaporate. Some don't have time to evaporate because they drop on the ground and disappear. All phenomena is a very obvious teaching of impermanence, emptiness, unsatisfactoriness, and a lack of truly existing things. See, that's why the fourth mindfulness is the one that points you to realize the fourth noble truth of the path. So therefore, these first four. It is said the person of lesser intelligence, person on the path of lesser accumulation path, say we are all can be considered that. Sorry, if you don't mind, if you're a little advanced, please, I beg your pardon. Say if we are all the lesser path of accumulation, we should be always practice these four foundation mindful all the time. And even that we cannot teach quite like this to most people, We can't teach to everybody, body's filthy, it's like that. You don't tell if I was teaching that in the earlier class, I think half a class will leave. So I just teach the mindful bodies to sit upright and sit in a good position. Don't lose your composure. We have to teach them the mindful body is just like looking after your body well and sit very well like a Buddha. It's like, well, this is just little sort of modified teachings of mindfulness body, you know. Of course, you can't teach like that to everyone, yeah. So they have to start somewhere. So I'm mindful of that. So, and we had a big question in the Bodh Gaya, you know, during this talk, and quite a lot of the monks. Actually, I know them. They just ask for the sake of. I said, they said, why is there all this Buddhist literature talking about how filthy the women's body are? I said, it's because all the authors are men. I said, wait until if the authors are women, I'm sure they have a few bad things to say how filthy human male bodies are. And we actually have 2,000 people, maybe 20 nuns. Maybe maybe other, but it is all male. You know, even that audience was completely, everybody laughed. That's true, you know. So Buddha was speaking that body is full of 32 impurities for all bodies, but he was not distinguishing as of the female body. It is all human bodies like that. There is no, you know, Prince of Denmark whose body is so beautiful, Princess Diana's body is so beautiful. No, their body is just same as any Jack and Jill in every corner of the street. So all the human bodies are the same. It's like that because the teaching is the truth. Teaching, telling the truth of everybody. You know. As soon as you put on a clean shirt in the morning and dress up, you know, afternoon you come home, they're all filthy. You can see it. That's why the body is source of it. So there's no doubt about the body being what it is, whether you call it filthy or not. So the teaching of Four Foundation Mindfulness is bit bitter for most people to say that life is, body's unpleasant, everything's impermanent. It's all bad news, really. Bad, the bad news, bad news that really everything's your body's filthy. Everything you have is impermanent, will not last, because everybody's looking for a permanent job, permanent relationship. Actually, there's only impermanent relationship, impermanent jobs, in impermanent health, and impermanent medical record. Your medical record page will increase long term. Right now maybe you have a dozen pages. Wait until you turn 70, then you have to 30 pages. It's all description of how filthy your body is, how unmanageable most parts are, So some parts of the bones are not even bones; they're just steel. I'm told. A lot of people got other people's pieces of bone in. So that shows how unwe we are. We are not truly existing. We are empty of the form, the name, the label, let alone the satisfactory things we are trying to grasp onto. So with this, we will conclude here, everyone. Thank you for listening to these teachings on the first of the 7 groups of Four Foundation of 37 factors of enlightenment cover the Four Foundation of mindfulness. We have good reason to embrace the Four Noble Truths, Four Noble Truth teachings very well. That when you, because these are right now they are not really truth to us. They are really difficult, challenging things to listen to. But the noble ones, for them it's truth. They see this always the truth. And they're constantly sitting in that state of compassion for the childish who don't see this. So they see the plight of all sentient beings very sad because we don't have this, we don't see this truth. And so the noble ones see this truth, and the childish one think it's bad news. Childish one thinks, why Buddhist teaching has to be taught like this. So this is not sweetened Buddhist teachings. This is just fact. This is not secular Buddhism teaching. Okay, these are authentic Buddhist teachings. This is not for Buddhism without belief. This is Buddhists with beliefs. They believe every word the Buddha wrote about these things as truth. This is Buddhism with beliefs in the Four Noble Truths. I'm sure you're not new to here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Let's do the dedication of merits from doing these teachings on page 10 of your folder here. Those others should know by heart. All by this merit may be overcome the devil may highly better be from the ocean of Buddha designated Herenda Mahayana Jiji whatever merit I have may be because to hold Mahayana teacher courage manju shrinyu would as a man life following all the example I shall all the mere salam body jeda trebavera no yeranzo where has been born angry freely without generous. Thank you, everyone. See you next week or next year if you are Tibetan. See, everything's merely label. Next week is next year.